Take a look around. Your favorite merchandise store may be gone or packing up and leaving for good. Why? Thieves, shoplifting. They're losing too much money. Take a look.
Tonight, a massive retail theft ring bust in New York, leading to 41 people arrested. Authorities say it went much further than just petty shoplifting.
Our investigators seized more than $3.8 million worth of stolen goods.
The investigation took nearly 3 years and involved teams from the NYPD and New York Attorney General's office. In a press conference, New York Attorney General Letitia James showed some of the stolen merchandise, including gift cards, designer clothes and accessories, cosmetics, and more. The suspects are accused of selling the high-end items and drugstore merchandise online in an organized ring.
The workers in these stores have been terrorized.
Prosecutors say the alleged ringleader, Ronnie Rubinoff, directed teams to go after specific items to steal. And alleged Rubinoff even signed a lease on a warehouse in New York with plans to open a department store-like facility stocked with stolen goods.
They're selling it a lot less expensive than it would be if it was bought in regular retail stores, and they're making 100% profit.
Rubinoff's attorney, Daniel Gotlin, tells NBC News his client runs a legitimate business, has pleaded not guilty, and intends to fight the charges. Mayor Eric Adams, who rode into office on an anti-crime campaign, was at the presser as well.
Today is sending a strong message that we are not ignoring it.
But it's not just New York. We've seen similar scenes across the country, from Chicago to Atlanta to California.
We have taken down and are prosecuting a statewide organized retail theft ring involving defendants who stole more than $1 million.
Data on retail thefts nationwide is sparse, but the National Retail Federation's 2021 survey found these organized thefts cost retailers an average of $700,000 per $1 billion in sales, up significantly.
That's why. Put yourself in their position. You're the owner of the company, CEO, whatever, and you're taking massive losses. How long can you sustain that? Before you got to switch up some type of business model or something. You can't sustain that. And this stuff isn't stopping, it's growing. There's no way for them to keep up and stay on top of all these thieves. The police don't have enough manpower to do that.
Significantly over the past few years. A majority of respondents reported an increase in these thefts too.
I absolutely believe that knowing that there will be a prosecution and arrest, the penalties can be higher for organized crime, will be a deterrent.
And Stephen Romo is with me in the studio now. That was quite the bust. Did they say anything else about the details of how the operation allegedly worked? Yeah, prosecutors did go into a few financial details, saying that they would steal this merchandise and sell it mostly on eBay. And they said they made about $1.3 million over 5 years. But then they claimed they would use about 60% of those profits to pay thieves to bring in even more merchandise to keep that cycle going. And it lasted for a few years, according to those prosecutors. It's a lot more money than any of us, I think, realized.
Yeah, a lot on eBay. Of all places.
Yeah, Stephen, thank you so much.
Supermarkets, bodegas, and grocery stores saying enough's enough. They're joining forces to put an end to the surge in shoplifting.
Their biggest complaint, repeat offenders. Sharon Crowley has more on how they say it's time for tougher punishments.
Back in my Rite Aid, and there's nothing to steal because this Rite Aid, like so many other Rite Aids, is closing down because everybody stole everything.
When actor and comedian Michael Rappaport posted about shoplifting on the Upper East Side, it drew national attention to a problem many small business owners say is getting out of hand in New York City. Thieves repeatedly stealing store merchandise, some say with little or no consequences.
Shoplifters are unafraid when they come to the stores. They feel it's their right to take whatever they want and just walk out with it.
Nelson El Sabio is with the National Supermarket Association. He and other bodega and grocery store owners have formed a group called Collective Action to Protect Our Stores. They have a list of demands for lawmakers that includes stiffer penalties for shoplifters.
We need help. We're screaming out for help. Basically, that's what we're doing right now.
Jason Ferreira runs 3 Food Town grocery stores in Queens.
When we catch someone shoplifting and we call the police, it's a very slow response. Yeah. And it's very difficult to detain someone because, you know, we don't want to have an altercation at the store.
He sent me this security video.
And when they say slow response, Somebody I know called the police the other day, right, for an incident. And it wasn't like, it was for somebody suspicious around the home, right? An hour and a half before the officer made it there. An hour, listen to me again. An hour and a half, 90 minutes before a cop got there. That's the response we got. So you can imagine by the time you get there, the stuff's gone. The damage is done.
Video from his store in Jackson Heights. It shows someone he calls the skirt steak bandit. Here you see this man steal skirt steaks. From this angle, you see the same person walk out of the grocery store without paying. Here's the empty shelf.
They have no shame about it. They know there's no consequence, or they have the perception that there's no consequence.
He and other small business owners want help from city, law enforcement, and elected officials, including a public service campaign against shoplifting. They say retail businesses need help now, especially.
2 men recently arrested in Newark are being called career criminals.
But police say they're not stealing things like cars or jewelry. They're allegedly swiping shopping carts. News 4's Pat Battle has the story from Rochelle Park.
On any given day, there are roughly 400 or 500 shopping carts outside the shop right here in Rochelle Park, New Jersey. But over the last couple of weeks, Daniel here's had far fewer to push into place because somebody's been walking off with them. A lot of them.
I think the store manager was the first to notice, saying it looked like we're running low on carts here. So we started looking. We do have a good security team. We began to look at the video and stuff, and then we noticed a red van coming and going, putting, they were even dressed like cart guys. They wore the lime yellow shirts and everything.
But these two were no cart guys. Police are calling 77-year-old Alfredo Rodriguez and Hector Cortez, who's 54, the shopping cart bandits. They were busted.
Listen up, bro, because y'all are the reason now when I go to certain places like Aldi or somewhere, I got to put a quarter, and I don't even carry change around no more, so it's aggravating to have to put a quarter or inside the little cart thing to get it out and then go in there and then put it back. Like, why are y'all making our lives so difficult, bro? What are you doing with 100 and something carts, fam? Why? What are you doing?
It wheels up here in the parking lot of ShopRite after security here started its own investigation and handed cops their video. That was Monday.
We're pulling out the paperwork on the next day, on Tuesday, and we're looking through it. And then we get a phone call around noon, and they're like, they're here. So my partner and I, we ran out there. We blocked the guys in. They were parked in the corner of the parking lot. And lo and behold, they gave us consent to search their vehicle. We go in the vehicle, and there's just 5 shopping carts there. So
they'd allegedly been at it for at least 2 weeks, and about 140 carts are missing.
The craziest part about it was, like, he's a 77-year-old man and a 54-year-old man. The 77-year-old one was the one lugging him into the van. So I was very surprised to see a guy who could hardly walk taking a shopping cart and lifting it up and putting it in the back of the van.
I think it's odd. I don't know why they need shopping carts. Maybe because they sell for about $200 a piece, wholesale.
The 140 carts, it's almost $28,000 worth of shopping carts. We believe that they're selling them to like smaller bodega-style places, or they've been scrapping them. But they had proceeds on them. They're making cash.
Cash money for shopping.
Cash money, yeah.
Who knew?
Wow.
Not me.
But apparently this is a thing. The Food Marketing Institute estimates 2 million shopping carts are stolen every year. Sometimes it's just a matter of convenience.
Stores, if you're paying attention and you're listening, everybody's gonna know this now. Start chaining up your shopping carts, fam. When the word gets out, because I don't know if a lot of people know that. I just found that out. When the word gets out that they making upwards of 20,000 on 100 and something carts. Oh, it's about to be open season, man. Y'all better protect your carts.
We typically see people, like, they'll take a shopping cart home, they'll wheel it home if they live nearby. That's understandable, but to see people unloading them and loading them into their cars, it's pretty bizarre.
You hear everything on the news about, retail theft. You never think of it's your shopping carts. You're worried about your product going out the door, and they're stealing our shopping carts. So I can say, fortunately, that we got this resolved before our grand opening, grand reopening, which is coming up.
Well, the 2 suspects in this case are looking at a different kind of metal these days. They are behind bars at the Bergen County Jail. in Rochelle Park. I'm Pat Battle, News 4 New York.
As we're seeing a string of violent crimes taking place across the city, shoplifting continues to be a big problem too.
Yeah, the issue having a major impact on pharmacies, many of whom are just choosing to close up shop altogether. Fox 5's Ashley Rodriguez takes a closer look at everything they're having to contend with.
Pharmacist Leon Tarasenko owns Pasture Pharmacy on the Upper East Side. It's a small shop that still has its products out on display on the shelves, something you might not see at your local chain pharmacy due to shrinkage, a corporate term for shoplifting.
The way they handle it is by putting everything on the lock and key. I can't deal with my customers in that respect.
Over the last 6 months, Tarasenko says he's watched shoplifting in his store get worse.
People could come in, they just don't care. The police come, they get arrested, they're let out.
It's a story people are witnessing, even able to capture it openly on their cell phones as the thieves pocket products undeterred. At a news conference last week, Chief Michael LePetri said shoplifting in the city is at its highest levels, with complaints up by nearly 18,000.
Pharmacies that continue to get preyed on across the city, and guess what? Continue to get closed at alarming rates.
Rite Aid recently closed a location in Hell's Kitchen after more than $200,000 in product was stolen over 2 months.
We experienced unexpected headwinds this quarter from front-end shrink, particularly in our New York urban stores.
And CVS says it's closing about 10% of its stores because of the post-pandemic economy. Pharmaceutical industry expert and Rutgers professor Dr. Mahmoud Hassan agrees.
Nobody goes inside store. People are using Amazon and get their online ordering. I myself do the same thing.
Now, last month, Rite Aid reported an additional $5 million in losses just due to shoplifting, and in the last 3 months, and that they might have to lock up every product behind shelf cases. On the Upper East Side, Ashley Rodriguez, Fox 5 News.
Well, for the second day in a row, the NYPD raided a strip of illegal vendors in Queens.
Mayor Adams says the situation there is a byproduct of the migrant crisis. Lizette Nunez has more from Jackson Heights this morning. What's going on? Were police there earlier today?
Yeah, they sure were, Rosanna and Kurt. There was a lot of police patrolling the area here on Roosevelt Avenue. Sorry it's a little bit loud right now because the train is just going over ahead of me. But yes, a big police presence this morning, and most of those street vendors are believed to be migrants. And the mayor did address that. He believed a lot of these migrants are turning to different ways to make a few bucks because some of them are not legally authorized to work. For the second day in a row, the NYPD has taken down illegal street vendors along Roosevelt Avenue in Jackson Heights, Queens. This is video from Monday's raid, where officers were seen confiscating merchandise, ranging from clothes, jewelry, and power tools. Some of the goods are...
Bro, that's not even a drop in the bucket. That's less than a drop in the bucket.
Reportedly stolen. Yesterday, Mayor Adams addressed the issue, which he believes is tied to the ongoing migrant crisis.
Some of the problems we're facing, in our city, this is the byproduct of bringing thousands of people to a city and telling them they cannot work. This is what we're seeing.
Quality of life issues are nothing new in this part of Jackson Heights. Neighbors and businesses have repeatedly complained about prostitution in the area. Back in January, the NYPD shut down multiple brothels along Roosevelt Avenue. At first glance, they look like massage parlors, but authorities believe prostitution and sex trafficking was taking place in these locations.
This is what we're seeing. Councilman Moyer and I, some of the illegal shops, sex trafficking that is taking place. All this is a byproduct. I keep telling folks, you have 3,000 people on Randall's Island that cannot do anything all day. That's just not right.
Yeah, so pretty calm this morning. Here's the thing, when these raids happen, it does spook some of these vendors, so they stop selling for a day or two, but then once things cool down, they see police leave the area, well, they come back out here and set back up, so this just ends up being a cycle here. That's the latest here from Jackson Heights. Kurt and Rosanna will send things back inside.
All right, thank you so much.
Crime here in New York's out of control. Shoplifting's probably the worst.
Business owners are there on the front lines. They have no help from the city, and they're angry.
Having to deal with shoplifting is the hardest thing because the challenge is your job versus your safety.
People, they steal always, they come in store, they grab, stuff.
You can't keep this going. New York City is probably seen 50% jump in theft this year. But instead of locking criminals up, they're letting them run wild.
In 2022, we made over 22,000 retail theft arrests. 327 people were responsible for the 22,000 arrests. And remember, those arrests, not actions. Many of them did the theft and got away with it. Those 327 individuals were arrested more than 6,600 times for an average of 20 times each.
All right, 20 times each. Repeat offenders, weak crime policies, that's what you're going to get.
20 times each on average, bro. You don't even call that a rap sheet. What do you call that? Like a scroll? What do you call, what is that? 20, that's, bro. And y'all expect things to change that way?
One professional booster been busted over 100 times, and she keeps being released without any bail. And the city's just wondering why things are crazy. So what's Adams going to do to stop it?
The new crackdown includes giving first-time offenders intervention programs instead of prosecution, de-escalation training for retail employees, establishing neighborhood retail watch groups to share information about a theft in real time with one another and the police, and installing kiosks in stores to connect would-be thieves with social service programs.
They're fighting crime and shoplifting with kiosks. A former professional shoplifter, Pierre Sion-Belmar, joins me now. So, Pierre, when you were boosting goods at your local stores, if you saw a kiosk on your way out, would you throw your goods down and then type 1 for more welfare?
If the kiosk provided fentanyl or money, I might stop. But if there's a pamphlet for social services, I don't think I would have batted an eye at that.
What's the mindset behind people are obviously shoplifting because they're not getting enough welfare?
I think the shoplifting is a deeper issue. When I was deep into that game, it was more to feed addiction and that lifestyle that I was living. It really had nothing to do with social resources or getting canned food or anything like that. I was feeding an addiction that was basically controlling my life every second.
So you would do anything, no matter how illegal it was, to get the goods, to get the fix. You're saying if someone had offered you, I don't know, a welfare check, maybe a roof over your head, you wouldn't have taken it?
I would have taken it, and I would have figured out a way to use those resources in order to then continue to feed my addiction and turn it into basically monetary value. And until I was then apprehended and served consequences, which were jail time and a lot of jail time and facing prison time, that's when I was really able to look at my life and realize I don't think I'm going in the right direction.
Did you turn your life around when you got hit with hard time?
I did, yeah. I've been sober almost 6 years.
So people do need to hit rock bottom, face consequences to turn things around. Are these policies not doing that?
I don't think they are, no. I don't think there's a lot of places now where we are forcing detoxes in places where people can get the help that they need versus just a Band-Aid on a symptom that we've been seeing for decades.
Why were you on drugs for so long?
I mean, it started as just partying and having fun, and then the next thing you know, I have a needle in my arm and I can't stop doing it because I'm physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually addicted. And the only way that I was able to stop was be put away in a place where I had no access to those substances for a certain amount of days so that I could clear my head and work a program and get my feet going.
Is there a spiritual component to the massive amounts of addicts that are popping up everywhere in this country?
My personal experience is yes. I believe that we are living in a world where that has been ignored, and there is something deeper that I think we need to look at.
What do you think that thing is that's deeper?
A connection to something bigger than us. It seems like we're living in a very self-centered and self-seeking world, and the moment that I realize that there's things other than me on this planet, and I'm not a victim, and I have the power of choice to be a better person, that's when I was able to really move forward.
Pierre, that's profound insight. Thank you. We're glad you're better, and Thanks for sharing that with Primetime.
The growing problem with shoplifting. You've probably seen cases of merchandise, things like toothpaste and laundry detergent locked up behind glass at your favorite store. The problem getting so bad, New York State is setting up a task force to tackle it. News 4's Miles Miller is in the concourse section of the Bronx with a look at what one supermarket has been up against lately. Miles?
Used to be, you'd be like, oh, I just need to run in the store. I ran out of something real quick, maybe some toothpaste, lotion, something like that. Now you can't run in, and it's not a quick process no more. Now you got to go in, find somebody that works there. Like, that's an easy job too. Find somebody that works there, wait for them to go get the key, find the key maybe, come there, unlock it, hand it to you. Now go stand in line in the register. Bro, it's no longer a quick in and out. They need to change the name. They're not convenience stores no more. It's nothing convenient about it.
Well, when you see the videos we're about to show you, you'll see it for yourself. A man who shoplifted not once but twice, but 4 times. And on the 5th time after they kicked him out, here's what he came into the store with. Nayeli DeJesus says shoplifting at her Bronx Associated Supermarket's gotten so bad, her employees fear what could happen if they try to stop a shoplifter. Take the shoplifter who came to her store 5 times trying to steal.
The 5th time we asked him to leave the store, he threatened to come back with a gun. We sort of brushed it off. We didn't think that was possible. 5 minutes later, he showed up to our store with a rifle in a plastic bag. He started waving the gun to my employees, to the staff, to my manager. Thankfully, my brother was able to escape towards the end of the store with about 15 to 20 customers, and they locked themselves in a room, and the gunman left the store. This time, we just got lucky.
Retail theft has skyrocketed in New York City. The governor's office says between 2017 and 2023 to combat retail theft and property crimes, and is calling for the creation of a tax credit aimed at helping small business owners like bodegas cover the expenses should they need to hire security.
They don't have the money. They're barely making it. The cost of every product has gone up. They can't, deal with inflation on top of having to put in security cameras and everything else. And so
the governor's budget allocates $25.2 million to establish new state police enforcement unit and fund selected teams to pursue organized retail theft cases. Additional funding will support district attorneys' offices and local law enforcement. Some of these measures require the state legislature to vote on these proposals. We'll see if that happens come April. That's the latest live on the concourse section of the Bronx. I'm Miles Miller, News 4 New York.
The lawmakers in Albany are getting closer to a deal on the state budget, and part of that deal includes a crackdown on retail theft. It calls for harsher penalties for assaults on retail workers, a tax credit to allow bodegas and small retail stores to upgrade their security, and funding for law enforcement to target retail theft rings. Governor Hochul spoke about the plan this afternoon, and Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles is in the newsroom with details.
Sandra, this plan affects a lot of people and will make all of them very happy. As we all know, retail theft rings are an ongoing problem for bodegas, grocery stores, mom and pop businesses in both common and luxury retail chains. But they're also a problem for customers, too, who really can't even shop freely without having to wait for a store associate to unlock a glass case for things as simple as deodorant or shampoo.
retail theft is no longer one person waiting for the right moment to walk in a store when no one's looking to snatch one item and run out of the store.
This is what retail theft looks like these days. Groups of thieves who make it look like a competition on a game show, quickly snatching up any and everything in front of store workers and other shoppers. Elevated tactics bringing elevated levels of violence.
Retail incidents involving physical force have more than doubled. This is not stealing anymore. This is harming.
Thursday afternoon, Governor Hochul continuing the state's crackdown on retail theft patterns that started during the pandemic.
They are the ones who allow us to function and thrive in our communities, and that's why it was elevated from a misdemeanor to a felony.
And now, prosecutors will be able to pursue more serious larceny charges that carry stiffer penalties by combining the value of stolen goods from multiple stores hit by the same theft ring.
We also appreciate the changes in the law that will allow Mike McMahon, myself, and other DAs to prosecute people and to hold them accountable.
The state earmarking $40.2 million to address organized theft.
When you're waiting online to pay your bill and someone else walks in with a backpack, goes and empties the shelves and then walks out and you're still waiting to pay your bill, people notice that.